Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole...
My great aspiration, my greatest ambition is to be so good. Now, in that way, I'm tiresome, as I suppose, to live with, because I want to be a fantastic human being.
I am the greatest.
We're not disputing that, Cassius, but how does Sonny Liston feel about it?
He can't feel but one way, and let's take everything I say and like it. Because February the 25th, I'm going to take back my job. I'm the champ. He's no champ. He's a tramp.
When you see men fall, don't laugh. Learn. Learn. Because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation.
If I'm a one-hit wonder, at least I got one, huh? At least I got something. Really ain't me. The beat bumping, one song could change lives. Let's see something. One joke could save lives. We gon' keep coming, keep functioning. Something out of nothing. Ball-wise, I'm top 300. Get your favorite artist. I'll chop it up with mutton. If they hate us, your ghosts could be bludgeon. If they for real, we getting money. So check BS minus Negroes, cutting everything authentic. Stupid shit I did it. Punishing myself like my mom prison. No questions, no tea, not lifting. One time for tea, being broke wasn't living. One hit wonder. At least I got.
Yo, what's up? Happy Friday. Peace and blessings. Glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. I want to say thank you to each and every single one of you. Reigning Woman, Rob, my poets, my writers, my content creators. Chef, what's up, brother? Arcana, what's up? What's the word? I hope all is well. I want to take a minute to send prayers out to Kata Scott. This young lady went missing not too long ago. There's a lot of death, there's a lot of pain and a lot of anger out here in the atmosphere, man. And I want to rebuke it. I want to send my thoughts and prayers out to the family, the friends of so many people that has been suffering and going through. You know, we tend to take life for granted so much, man. We get caught up in our own stuff. Bills, responsibilities, the pressures of society, expecting you to be perfect, expecting you to excel and exceed every single level of what they demand you to be. And we don't really take enough time out of our life no more as adults to take a deep breath and enjoy each other's company. The fact that we can walk, that we can still embrace our footprints on this planet just to still be alive, man, it's something to be grateful for. Sydney's in the building. I'm waiting for her to get everything in order on her end. Y'all see the title. We got a lot to cover. I can't believe what I'm seeing with my own eyes. If y'all have any thoughts on it, share them in the comments. You know how we get down over here. We always interact. I love, in fact, to go back and forth with the people in the comment section. So you already know the energy. If you're not following, make sure you follow. Matter of fact, quick little Heads up, tomorrow at 3 p.m. Not even p.m. 3 p.m. 3:16 p.m. I got some stuff I want to address. I got someone I have to address specifically because some things were said that I found quite disrespectful and distasteful, and we're definitely going to get into it. So if you're a WWE fanatic, tap in tomorrow. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss that one. I've been waiting for a minute. I'm going to take my time with it. Sid, if you are here, I'm bringing you up. Good evening. I hope all is well with you.
Hello. Doing pretty good. Everest, leave her alone. I like your glasses, by the way. I had a doctor's visit over, I think it was Thursday, and he had glasses that I'm like, Mel would totally wear these. They were like hexagonal, kind of like, they look like half rocker, half kind of like old-fashioned 1920s glasses. They're pretty cool. But anyway, doing pretty good. Just enjoying my Friday. I forgot it was Friday until halfway through, and then I was like, oh wait, it is Friday. The weekend's here already. So yeah, I found out that my poetry book publishing process got moved to a month from now, so I have more time to work on my book, so I'm not panicking anymore. So that's also a nice twist.
I work pretty good under pressure. I don't know why I don't just do things ahead of schedule and not have to stress over it. I always that's a habit, a personal pet peeve, doing things days, hours before it's the deadline. I got to stop doing that. But I'm glad you got that relief. Look, we're going to jump right into it, right? Shout out to Greg. He brought this to my attention. I didn't really pay too much of mind to it until I started actually watching a little closer. So, yeah, I know, bro. I know. I can't afford to be doing that at all. So I'm locked in. Trust me.
I also wanted to mention too, I could either do it before we start or at the end, but the teacher had us read a poem this last class that would have went perfectly with the talk on Wednesday about immigration. So at a certain point today, I'd love to read that one, just because we did that this week and it's very relevant.
Hey, look, if you got it on deck right now, we can start this off like that and then jump into the clip. I ain't got no problem with that.
All right. Yeah, this was really cool. This was written by one of the students in my class from a previous year. This is called Wetback, and it's by Carlos Ornelas. I'm the wetback. My water-soaked shoes left a wet track. I got deported twice, but that was just a minor setback. 'Cause I'm strong like the current of the Colorado River. The tone of my courage made the Border Patrol shiver. I've been through all the borders, El Paso, Tijuana, Agua Prieta, Palomas. I move like the smoke of marijuana. I'm smooth and unnoticed. Some label me as illegal, but if they would really notice, I'm the reflection of their ego. Let me close the door.
Shout out to the good peoples.
She doesn't want to take her nap, so you'll have to ignore her.
Gotcha.
I'm the reason why the government created Border Patrol. They already took our land, but they'll never take my soul. I was blind to the fact that this land belonged to me. Now I'm a slave in this place where my ancestors were royalty. They stole my history, my beliefs, even my pride. The Jews were not the only ones to suffer genocide. Now I have to sneak into the land that I once ruled. They told us we were illegal. Now I know that we were fooled. What's my name? Where am I from? I know that you don't know me. That's why you label me simply as a UFO, an alien, an unidentified foreign object. But you should think twice about the words that you select. I'm the wetback, son of rain and the pain. My brain remains trapped by an invisible chain. Society is my prison. From the water I have risen. I'm not being treated fair. Why won't anybody listen? Borders are just stupid reasons made by man to have land to their name and have the upper hand. The government's a backstabbing, land thieving crook. Why don't they write about this in the history book? But the words I say are senseless. You can never believe me because I'm trapped and defenseless in the land of the free. I'm the wetback. My water-soaked shoes left a wet track. I got deported twice, but that was just a minor setback.
Sensational.
And again, that was by Carlo Ornelas. It's called Wetback.
I think we did a great job at segueing into this clip. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring this up on a big screen. Thank you for the poetry session. Always need that component on here.
Gotta have it on a Friday, so.
Yeah. This is approximately 2 minutes and 35 seconds. I'm gonna let it run all the way through. Opening thoughts. We'll proceed from there.
Guys, I just found out that Republicans are taking away our rights to vote. Democrats was right. I don't know what I was thinking about supporting Trump. Was I convincing? So turns out Republicans are trying to basically gut the Voting Act of 1965. And when I tell you Democrats are having a field day, oh, they're losing their minds over this one. So just a little bit of history for you guys that don't know what the Voting Rights of 1965 was. Take a look at this.
The Voting Rights Act of 1965 was one of the most powerful civil rights laws ever passed in the United States. It gave black people and all people the right to vote. It actually protected them because they were unfairly blocked for decades from voting. Before the law, many black people were threatened, beaten, and denied the right to vote. They had no rights. They had no vote.
Now, this act made perfect sense during a time when black people were actually being oppressed. We were being denied access to the same things as other people around us, okay? But not so much in 2025. But hear me out. This same act that was supposed to be used in favor of blacks is actually being used against us, at least the ones on the Democratic side. And I'm going to tell you why. All of y'all think that the Democrats are for black people because so many black people vote for them, but you guys are so tricked and it's crazy.
That's right. And in the state of Louisiana, that analysis was conducted in the Nairn case, and it was clear that regardless of party, white Democrats were not voting for black candidates, whether they were Democrats or not. And we know that there is such a significant chasm between how black and white voters vote in Louisiana that there's no question that even if there is some correlation between race and party, that race is the driving factor.
I promise you that Democrats are the biggest gaslighters of all time. The black representation that blacks actually have in America doesn't even come from black Americans. It's really immigrants. So yes, they may have dark skin and they may look like us, but they are not us. So immigrants are obviously going to fight for other immigrants, and that's why they're going so hard. Okay, so this video is getting too long, but there will be a part 2 where I break down how Democrats actually used the Voting Act to trick black people into voting for them while hindering them at the same time, because you guys are lost. But you guys stay beautiful, stay blessed, and stay prosperous. Your girl is out. Oh my.
Isn't it lovely? The great United States of America has yet again decided that they wanted to make adjustments to things that were created years ago. For what reason? I love conversations like this because they're so loud, but so silent that you can hear a needle drop. Now, I don't have a side. I don't do demo. I don't do repub. I strictly am for what's right and what's wrong. I do not like the injustices. I do not like cheaters. I don't like manipulators. Period. What are your initial thoughts on this topic, on this situation in general, the what they're attempting to do, or what they're trying to convey to the people?
Well, first, I don't know why I'm not able to comment, but I just wanted to shout out to Chef and Letitia and Raining Wumban just for being here. Thank you for the compliment for the poem. This one is actually new to me. I hadn't actually heard of this one yet, but it makes a lot of sense now that I'm reading up on the history of it. Especially because I'm actually firsthand starting to see that happen within the military as well. This one quote, this is from the National Archives website, the government website, which archives all of our important documents for American citizens to know. This act was signed to enforce the 15th Amendment. The 15th Amendment is the right to vote. Everyone was equally allowed to vote under this law, and it was signed into law. The 15th Amendment was signed into law 95 years after the amendment was ratified. During that time, African Americans in the South faced tremendous obstacles to voting. They had literacy tests. They would charge you for it. They'd make you pay to do that. There would be other restrictions which denied people the right to vote. I think being in prison was one. I think not having a job was another. I think if you were unmarried, you could also be denied, especially if you were a woman. And then also they would often be harassed by other people when they tried to register to vote, because I mean, we all know back then we didn't have the internet, so you had to do so in person. And so they would attack those, I don't know what you call them, booths or whatever, that people would show up to intimidate them out of trying to register to vote. And so this was passed by President Johnson to make it illegal to do this, to add obstacles for people to vote. And so I'm going to look more into this, what they're currently doing, like what actions they've actually taken on this, if it's just talk or if it's actually something. It looks like from first glance that they actually are trying to, they've written the law already and they're trying to like appeal it, but I just want to look at that first. But this is something that I can definitely see happening already, because there already have been talks of if you change your last name or your first name, you will not be allowed to vote because you won't have proper documentation to prove your identity. And so by changing your last name, you're forfeiting your right to vote. This has been put forward in at least one state that I know of. I'm not sure exactly where that's gotten since I last researched that, but I know that was one of the things that they were talking about, which also risks women losing the right to vote, or at least married people losing the right to vote if they change their name. It also risks people who are trans they risk losing the right to vote. People that come to this country could risk losing their right to vote if they like change their name or modify their name to Americanize it. So there's a lot of people that could be at risk of losing the right to vote just because of their choice to change their name on documentation. And then in the military itself, I've been hearing a lot from Mr. I can't do push-ups correctly or pull-ups correctly, Hegseth. He has been very blatantly hinting at the fact that, well, if a woman's not qualified and isn't able to do the same feats as a man, then she shouldn't be in the military, which is not right, because your body stature, your body form does not matter in the military to a certain extent, because not all jobs are equal. Some of them are more office based. Some of them are more like you're on the ground and doing things. Like you could be medical, you could be actual fighter, you could be doing reconnaissance, you could be doing stuff behind the computer, behind the scenes, and controlling machinery. Like there's so many different things that you do in the military that it's ridiculous to say everyone has to have the same exact body type, because it's not necessary. And so by changing these standards, it's effectively going to set limitations on what types of people are allowed to join the military. And it'll significantly affect women, because imagine if they put the same standards that men are expected to uphold onto women as well. We all know that for the most part, women can't carry the same amount of weight as men. Women don't have the same physique as men. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just how the bodies are made. But with these types of things that they're trying to enact, it's essentially an effort to forcibly push people out without forcibly pushing people out. It's just under the guise of, oh, well, we're just trying to make it all equal. We're trying to make it equal opportunity. But it's not. They're purposely trying to remove the individuals that they no longer want in the military. I've also been seeing it with the body manicuring type rules of like what you can and can't look like. There are certain hairstyles, like the military has specific hairstyles that you're required to have as a woman and as a male. It also has specific requirements about your beard, your mustache, your like sideburns and all that stuff. And they're changing some of these rules, which overwhelmingly favor white individuals over Black or Hispanic or otherwise other cultures, particularly those with curly hair, because one of the ones that I'm very well aware of is you have to shave your beard, but you can also get a medical chit to allow you to not get a beard, especially if you get really bad razor bumps, which is very, very common with people with curly hair, because with straight hair, the hair can just like push out and you're less likely to get the razor bumps. But if you have curly hair, it can come up as kind of a curl and not be able to break through the surface. And so then you end up with all the little like pimple things on your face. And so overwhelmingly, the people that have that problem are people with curly hair. And overwhelmingly, people with curly hair are Middle Eastern, Black, sometimes Hispanic, sometimes Jewish, sometimes other types. But white individuals don't typically have curly hair like that. And additionally, on the women's end, they recently put a ban on baby hairs, where a lot of women will like paste their baby hairs onto their forehead or their temples, just to kind of keep those annoying little pieces of hair out of the way. But I don't know if they fully banned it yet or if they're in the process of banning it, but they're basically saying women can no longer do that because it's like a cultural haircut. There's also a bunch of cultural haircuts that are not allowed, such as like the mini dreads and cornrows and those types of things. So a lot of these overwhelmingly are against certain communities. And so while it could, in all likelihood, it could be a coincidence. It could be that. I don't believe it for a second. I personally believe this is a targeted attack on individuals in the military in a way to forcibly remove people without saying that you're forcibly removing them. Because in the military, if you do not ascribe to their, if you don't meet their requirements, and if you have medical conditions that prevent you from meeting their requirements, they are allowed to discharge you from the military. And so I have already been seeing this within the military. So I 100% believe they would do this to the rest of society as well. We're already seeing them actively trying to take away our rights in every other area, our right to free speech, our right to protest, our right to press. So it does not surprise me at all that they're now going to come after our right to vote, especially when we are coming up upon the midterm election, which is going to be replacing like 300 or 400 seats. A multitude of them are, a majority of them are Republican. So the redistricting is also an effort to prevent voting effectively, because when you redistrict, what they're doing is they're trying to make it based on population rather than number of districts, or vice versa, depending on where they are. Because if you do it off population, we tend to have higher percentages of Democrats. But if you do it by regions, certain states have more red regions just with lower populations. And so they're trying to make it so the states that are heavily red, even though they have big cities full of Democrats, they're trying to make it so, oh, well, we have more districts of red people, even though they aren't, even though the population isn't as high. Because there's more red districts, they consider that state to be a red state. And so they've been trying to take action on that to make it so it's easier to classify states as red rather than blue. So I'm going to look more into this about the recent news with this, but I definitely believe that this is something that they would try to do.
Nothing really surprises me anymore in 2025. I think we're at a point right now where if you see it, you should pretty much already expect it. I'm not even taking anything off the table. I'm talking about from the spiritual side to the political side. Nothing ceases to amaze me whatsoever. The men and women that have these special seats in the government, I've said it before, and I will always stand behind this. They have one objective, and that objective is population control. See, like for me personally, this is how I feel. They want to keep all the money to themselves. They don't really want us to have anything, but they kind of have to give us something to shut us up so we don't really complain too much. And if they had it their own way, we wouldn't really have nothing. We would starve. We would be on the street, all of us. I'm not really like I've come to a point where I don't even believe that it's just a mere racial issue. It's more or less I'm greedy. I need my legacy to live on, and the rest of you are kind of beneath us. Now, yeah, we have race issues. We have the LGBTQ. We have all of these different fallacies out there and different conditions and arguments and topics, but they're all, to me, designed to keep us divided and indecisive. The real goal here is to keep them in control as long as possible without the threat of someone with enough intellect and enough support behind them to do something about everything that they have been accomplishing since the beginning of time, for real. You can call me a conspiracy theorist. That's cool, but the evidence to me supports my theories. At least I'm not reading anything from out of a book. I'm just an observer of all of the conversations that I've seen from various stations, Pierce Morgan, you name it. They even refused to have Candace Owens go out of the country. And she talks a whole lot of crap that people don't agree with. I enjoy these discussions. I think we need to have more of them. And as much as I would love to say I know every single thing that's happening in the government, I don't. But that's why we have these conversations, so that we can put it on display for others to really facilitate for themselves. You can take this and have this conversation in your household. You can take it to the barbershop. You can take it to work. You can have it in, it doesn't have to stop just here. I'm trying to learn as much as possible, just like the next person. And honestly, with this, it really just feels like they are really trying to strip away every single right we have. Maybe they don't think we take it serious enough. Maybe they don't think we're paying attention. Maybe they don't see enough of us sitting around saying, all right, this is getting out of hand. We need to go ahead and make some adjustments because this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Think about this for a second. Now, I brought this up before. What do you think is happening? They're sitting in groups at a desk, a long 20, 30-foot desk with 30 chairs around the desk. You have your generals and you have all of your subordinates at this meeting. They're sitting there with their blueprints and all of their schematics, and then they have the plans that they want to enact. They talk about what they're going to do, how they're going to execute them. They pretty much got the people in a rat race. You're exhausted and tired. They have the middlemen. Their only objective is to get in front of social media cameras, CNBC, NBC, ABC, all these channels, give you false reports, give you news about death and fear mongering, stuff about racism, feminism. They put all of this stuff out there for the community to watch, consume it, and then you get distracted. They throw out these different little tests, and then before you know it, you're like, damn, how is my rent $2,000? Why do I have to pay for parking and I live here? How come you're trying to put lesbianism in cartoons? I my child is 3 years old watching SpongeBob doing things that no cartoon should be doing. Trying to cut off food stamps. Thanksgiving is right around the corner. You're trying to stop that. Like, at what point do we look at what's happening and say they are playing in our face, and they're being completely blunt about it? Trump can get up here and say whatever he want. He can do whatever he want. And you still got people who support him and back him up in everything that he's doing. As guilty as he is. But you want to make it seem like it's a Dem versus Republican thing. very strategic, if you ask me. Excuse me, I thought we were all bleeding the same color red. I thought we all had the same genetic makeup. That's just my point of view. Some people just inherited the seats that they're in, while others are laying outside in the cold under a cardboard box. They just got the short end of the stick. And we have folks that have solemnly swore that no matter what, we will never allow somebody from the outside to come in and take our seats, because they might destroy what we have successfully built from ancestor to ancestor. You know, Stephen A. Smith, he had an issue with Jasmine Crockett. And my thing was, Will Stephen, you're really no different than anyone that is in office. And what I'm talking about is you have people at every single job, up here or down here, they're not willing to risk their paycheck. They're not going to tell on you. You stealing out the register. You sneaking off supplies. They're not about to sit up here and risk their livelihoods for some sense of morality, even though we know the shit that we be seeing on our jobs be wrong as fuck. You know, people do not supposed to be getting away with the stuff they getting away with, but we need to work. We gotta work, because the way society is set up, you don't work, you don't eat. If you don't have a paycheck coming in, you don't deserve to live. You don't deserve to have no food in your refrigerator. You shouldn't even have a refrigerator or clothing. So go ahead. You can tell. You can be honorable. I admire it. But are you ready to take the risk of doing it? Most people don't do it. Most hate their jobs. And I'm gonna yield the mic here. Most people hate their jobs, but you gotta work. According to the United States of America, you have to work. Because where else is your source coming from? They act as if they are the creators of fruit, vegetables. They're responsible for the trees and the air and the sun and the water. They act as if they are the proprietors for everything that we utilize on a regular basis. God is the one who freely gave us everything that we have. But these people right here, I yield the mic.
Yeah. Everything you guys are saying, I totally agree, even in the chat as well. This is so much deeper than this, than just race. This is very much those who have and those who have not. And there are far more have-nots, but we have very little resources in comparison to those who have. As we know, in our country alone, we have the 4 richest billionaire, almost trillionaires in the whole world. And I think we have like 15 or 20 of the top richest people in the entire world in the United States. And that might be even an underestimate. But looking at what they're doing right now, so the last piece of the 1965 Voting Rights Act is Section 2. And this empowers the government to protect voters from gerrymandering, which is what I was mentioning earlier about shifting the demographics to make it look like it's more red than blue. And it's widely believed that this is to dilute Black political power. In Louisiana versus Calais, Callais, the Supreme Court was ready to strike down Section 2, which would basically nullify the Voting Rights Act, which they've been trying to do for over a decade. They found out that the state of Louisiana was eligible for 6 seats of the House of Representatives, and that the population was about 1/3 Black. So they initially redrew maps that featured only one majority Black congressional district and rejected 7 more racially fair maps. When voters sued, the federal courts ordered Louisiana to comply with the Voting Rights Act by drawing new maps, which Black voters would be a majority in a second district, reflecting the share of the population and giving them equal opportunity to elect representatives of their choice. However, non-African American voters are now suing because they're saying it's racial discrimination against white people. And they're claiming that maps were drawn to remedy racial discrimination that did not exist. And it is currently in court. They're still defending, they're still having proceedings around it. But there's a very strong chance that the courts are going to favor this group of non-African Americans in the decision to redistrict the state, which means we'll only, I think, how many out of 7? So we'll only have 2 out of 7 of those regions considered to be Democratic, essentially. So this is a very, very good way, not metaphorically, very good way for them to redistrict to remove people's power and to dilute Black voter power, which we all know Blacks overwhelmingly vote Democratic. So this is, in my mind, there's no doubt about that. This is racist. This is them trying to remove the very obvious opponents from the race. They're trying to make it so we, as a community, don't have as much sway over the government, because overwhelmingly our government is highly wealthy Christian people, and they're using their religion as a facade to pretend that they care about everyone and that they're trying to protect families. They're trying to protect our rights. They care about everyone equally, like Jesus did. And meanwhile, they're, as you said earlier, subverting the system, pretending to, or sorry, it was the speaker that we watched. They're subverting the system, making it seem like they're trying to help us, but in turn, they're not. They're taking away our rights. They're making it seem like they care about us to get our votes in the areas that they want them to be at. So this is, if this type of, the reason why this is so dangerous is if it passes in Louisiana, it paves the way for many other states to be like, see, historical precedents, we can do that too. Because that's one of the things that is favored in the court system, is if something has been ruled in one case before with a certain, like, this is basically how laws are formed. If the courtrooms rule something in one case, future cases can be decided based on those past cases. And so if they vote to throw this out in Louisiana, a bunch of other states are going to be able to be like, cool, we're going to do that too. So this is why Gavin Newsom and a couple other states are like, that's what Prop 50 is for, is they're trying to prevent this from happening. Because as they redistrict, it dilutes the voting power of minorities. And right now, we're kind of all the minority except for the white Christian right. So this is a very dangerous, slippery slope. We could definitely see this snowballing, and very rapidly, especially with the fact that we have a majority Republican Senate, majority Republican Congress. The Supreme Court is overwhelmingly Republican, and of course, we all know the executive branch is a Republican scam. So this is something that we have to pay attention to. This decision is expected to come around June. And this is right before the November 2026 midterms. As I said, this could result in the loss of 19 House seats to Republicans out of, I think, 250. I think 100. So that's almost 20%, a 20% increase in the number of Republicans if this is allowed. And this is on top of all of the other seats that already are taken by awful Republicans. Not to mention, we're already seeing how they're trying to manipulate the voting in of representatives with, I forgot her name right now, but there's I think she's Republican. She's being voted in, but they're not finalizing that, and they're not allowing her to actually take the seat because they all know that she's going to vote in favor of releasing the Epstein files. I think her name is like Adalia. Grijalva. Her name is, she's a Democrat, Adelita Grijalva. Grijalva. She has not been sworn in yet, because she is basically going to tip the balance into, she won in Arizona, which is more red. And so her seat tips the balance to releasing the Epstein files, which we all know that they don't want out there because they're probably all in it. So this is just another example of all of the ways that they're trying to undermine our democracy and remove the rights of both people and politicians. Even the ones that are doing the right thing are being prevented from properly doing their job. So this is an all-out attack on our democracy, and it's something that we cannot sleep on. Because this is the type of stuff that if we brush it under the rug, they are going to take everything from us. They are going to take our rights. They are going to take our safety. They're going to be able to kick out any person that they ever want to out of this country. You could be arrested for talking bad about the president. You can be arrested for protesting. A lot of these states are trying to pass laws to, brutally punish women for seeking proper medical care in situations where an abortion is threatening their life or the life of their baby. They're trying to criminalize all sorts of things that would never have been illegal in 10 years ago. Nobody would have accepted that. The types of things that they're trying to do right now. The not swearing in of people that were fairly elected, and obviously all this stuff with the election fraud. So yeah, this is, it's so depressing, to be honest, to look at this and be like, why aren't our politicians that do notice the stuff, why aren't they standing up for us? It makes me suspect that it really is the rich and the wealthy that are controlling this whole system, that it has nothing to do with left and right, has nothing to do with Christianity, it has nothing to do with color, has nothing to do with male versus female. This has everything to do with who has the money and the power that they're trying to snag from us, because they're not just taking our rights, they're taking over the companies that we buy from. They're taking over the land that we use for our homes. They're taking over our healthcare system. They're taking over our food system. They're taking over, they're destroying our relationships with other countries. They're creating relationships with really dangerous countries and allowing them to infiltrate our country by giving them a base in the literal middle of the country with somebody that is known to have ties with terrorists that have actively targeted American soil in the past. They do not care about us at all, and they're doing everything they can to get any semblance of power they can possibly get.
The link that I put a star on in the comment section is actually a link to a petition. Braden shared this with me earlier because he was talking to me about this as well, and he's on the same page as we are as far as this is concerned, and he wanted to help as much as possible to highlight ways that we could make our voices heard. So if y'all want to check that out, you absolutely can. I've already did it myself. I refuse to be played and continuously put on this hamster wheel for their pleasure and entertainment. So, everybody's voice matters. As far as I'm concerned, if you really have any type of concern about this, even if you don't sign it, take a look at it for your own sake. It's not right. I'm not with it. It's been a long time coming. Actually, they are intentionally trying to strip us away of our humanity, period, for their own leisure. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm not having it. I'm not settling. I'm not about to sit here and say nothing. So for your own research purposes, check it out. Nah, raining woman, no, you're not. It's been bothering me for the longest time, man, and I think the cries are getting louder and louder from the public. Like, there's a reaction video that I did earlier. I haven't posted it, but the brother was going off. He was pissed. He was absolutely pissed. And it's no different than what we're talking about here. They want us innately to just give up everything and allow them to do whatever the hell they want, because we've allowed them to get away with way too much as it is already. So it's like, well, if you're not going to really push back on it, so we might as well just keep on.
That's why they want us sick and addicted, because it makes us easier to control.
Precisely. Oh, it's impossible to afford any type of remedies for diseases. How many Americans right now can afford to go in and out of the hospital to get treatment, to go through radiation, medications for HIV and all these other cancers? Who can really afford that? Just a hospital bed overnight is a ridiculous amount of money. Their whole setup is rigged, man, to keep them rich. All of it. How make it make sense? Why does it cost your entire life? Why does your entire life have to be sacrificed in order to pay off a hospital bill, a medical bill? But you want to sit up here, you expect me to clock in 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week to pay my rent on time under all conditions possible. PTO is garbage. I get what? A month out of a year? I get a month of paid time off.
They want us all to be Waffle House workers working through hurricanes.
Tell me about it. All these demands that I really don't be understanding how everything is so overpriced. And then you want us to take our 15, 16 an hour, you want us to take those checks and somehow figure out how to pay off a $600-700 car insurance plan or deductible, while also getting back and forth to work, keeping the lights on, all that.
Even housing itself is like ungodly expensive, and like we're having record numbers of people moving into storage units because that's literally the only thing they can afford to live in.
That's a fact. I've seen that too. To be for real, like, all right, between that and moving somewhere in a desolate area, I watched enough YouTube videos where I could take some sticks and shit, some rocks, and I just build my own shit. DIY. Live off the grid completely. Because this right here ain't it. Can't tell me this ain't greed. I thought we were supposed to be making life easier or more comfortable. Yeah, you're making it extremely hard for anybody. You gotta have 2 or 3 jobs just to make sure you can keep all your stuff intact. That's wild. That's why I say I don't trust the people. I don't trust the people that's looking over us. They ain't got our best interests at heart. Don't think they ever did. And that makes sense too. That does make perfect sense. I wouldn't even be surprised if it was tactical. Let me ask y'all a question. Do you believe that what we are seeing right now is purposely happening so that they can implement other things they already have on their to-do list?
1,000,000,000%. The Project 2025 was initially created for Reagan They've been trying to do this since before Reagan. This was created by the Heritage Foundation, which has been around since the 70s. They're a Christian white think tank whose goal is to make this a predominantly white Christian America. And they have been trying to implement this for years, for decades. They just have not been successful. Reagan, I think the estimate was they got like 30% through, but they weren't very successful because it bounced back once we started having all the like economic problems and whatnot. But it really got expedited towards the 90s and 2000s once the wealthy people, the wealthy donors, skyrocketed in terms of their income. The invent of the internet, the explosion that came with it of all the shopping and whatever, like Amazon and all those fun, amazing people. So this is something they have been working on for a very long time. I would honestly say since Roosevelt, the first Roosevelt, that everyone who was struggling loved, because through the 40s and 50s and into the 60s, that was the time in history that we had the least disparity, wealth gap. And since then, it has substantially increased, especially within the last decade. So this is 100%, 1,000% a plan that they have been trying to enact for a very long time. It's just before they didn't have the resources they needed. They didn't really have the support that they needed. But now, we have a record number of people that are completely disengaged from the political environment altogether. Like, we had record numbers of people not voting at all in this election. We also have people that are not paying attention. They're not educated on this. Like, they've been attacking the educational system, which is one of the first places that you'll go if you want to subvert an entire country. That's exactly what our German counterpart did in the 1930s, 20s, when he started his first term. He tried to start off with what he started doing in the 30s and 40s, but it was not received well. People were not happy about it, and he started to lose support. And so he backed off of that plan and was like, he decided to go at it a different way. And so what he did was he started introducing educational programs for kids and teenagers to raise them up into this new type of leadership. They also instituted programs for building roads, for creating housing, for creating bridges and systems that people needed, getting like farms and all sorts of commodities, mechanical type growth factories, all that stuff, to make it seem like, oh, well, you're helping our country, you're improving our economy, you're helping our people, you're teaching society and whatever. So people would favor him. And so when he got elected the second time, that's when he was able to be like, all right, cool, now I can take control, because now I have the support of all these people. I've created all this propaganda, all these lies that people are believing. And he was able to mask a lot of the stuff that he did. Most of the world didn't even know what was happening to the Jewish population until after he had died, and they marched in to help all of the people that were suffering. And people didn't realize the extent of what had happened until way later, when they finally went in and saw all of the camps and the documents and all of that stuff that they had saved. So this is honestly the best parallel that I can think of, because it's literally what they're doing. He had his first regime. He made it seem like, oh yeah, I'm gonna help the economy, I'm a businessman, I'm this great, smart, whatever. But then we all saw, as soon as he got the notice that he won that second time, it was full force. Within the first month, they were already stripping people of rights. They were already going after our freedoms. They were already starting to attack the press. That, like, I mean, we see how often they're trying to insult anybody that's remotely democratic. They go after Gavin Newsom. They're going after Pritzker. They're going after Chuck Schumer. They go after Bernie Sanders and Biden and Obama and anybody that has any kind of favor in the public eye. They're trying so hard to smear them. This is all planned. This is all propaganda. This is all an effort to make sure we don't actually see what they're doing. I think their mistake is they're all stupid enough to think that we're stupid. They think that this is the 1940s when we're relying on newspapers and the radio, because this is actually a video that I heard a couple weeks ago where somebody was talking about in the 80s, 90s, 70s even, they had a lot of programs to bring technology to rural communities because they relied very heavily on radio and newspapers and like TV channels rather than like the high-tech stuff that we have now. And they were often the last to get that type of resources because you have to have high quality internet towers and whatever to be able to have access to those types of systems, or at least efficiently to have it like widespread. And so they targeted these communities through radio programs like Rush Limbaugh and what was his name? There's a couple other namesakes that, like Bill O'Reilly and all of those people, like the No Spin Zone. They have all these programs for people to taint the names of people who are liberal, who are fighting for rights for everyone. And that propaganda worked extremely well. We can all see what Fox News has turned into and how religiously a lot of these MAGA voters follow these people. So this has been a concerted effort from all angles, from the media, from the educational system, how they've removed history. They're trying to keep us from reading certain documents, certain books. They have removed educational standards. They've diminished educational standards. They've removed systems that pushed, that made sure children had to learn things, removing the No Child Left Behind, or I think it was No Child Left Behind. It made it so even if the child didn't learn the content, they could still be pushed forward and could still continue on with their education, which means they're being left out of a lot of, they're not absorbing all the knowledge that they need. And so we're already seeing it now. We have a horrific epidemic of people, teenagers, college students, adults. They don't know how to read. They don't know how to do math. They have no idea how to do research. They have no idea how to understand the content that they're reading, how to differentiate between fake, made up, like Onion type articles versus articles that are written by reputable sources and who have done the research, who have done the digging that is required to understand these things. And so because we have so many people that aren't willing to read and aren't willing to do that research, we have people that are willing to just, if it's short and sweet, they'll believe it. They don't need to, like, they won't want to look through a whole, like, oh, it's 30 pages. I don't want to read that. So they're more willing to read a Twitter post and be like, oh, well, see, that they said that and I believe it. And there's this misnomer I've noticed a lot lately where there's people that understand that beliefs are not facts. But then there's a lot of people that think facts and beliefs are the same thing. So just because they feel a certain way, or if the more strongly they feel about something, the more factual it probably is, which is not true. Just because you feel a certain way does not mean that's true. And I've noticed there's a lot more people with that thinking where if it feels uncomfortable, they're like, oh, no, I don't want to know that. Don't tell me that. I don't want to think about that. Or you're lying. They just like blinders, nothing. And these are the types of people that are running this country. They are farmers of misinformation. They're putting out so many different AI generated garbage videos, trying to make, like, I literally saw one recently that they posted on the White House Twitter page or TikTok page or whatever it was, of Obama in a sombrero with Chuck Schumer talking about how they're excited to let in all the Mexicans and all this other stuff. Like, and people are believing this stuff. So they've been doing this for a very long time, and we're only now seeing the repercussions. That's why they're giving so many of these big billionaires so much power, because they own all of these technological corporations, all like NBC, ABC, CNN, and all the like major news sources. Most of them are owned by the same people. New York Times, what is it? New York Times. There's a bunch of them. Like, if you Google it, you can see the tree. Like, there's only like maybe 5 companies that own all of the major news sources, all of the major channels, all of the major radio stations. And so it's all the same thing. And you can even, I've seen videos where they show side by sides of CNN, NBC, blah, 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 like the whole list of them, just different clips from all these different channels, all saying the same thing. And this is what is being effective. Like, this is what is most effective right now, because if you repeat a lie enough, it becomes truth. And we are seeing that happen in real time. And now it's becoming easier than ever, because all you have to do is AI generate. And as long as the person is not observant enough to notice that the person has 6 fingers and 2 hats on their head, they're going to believe it, because the words came out of their mouth, and they're like, well, see, I saw it on TikTok. And I always say this, for the love of God, TikTok and Twitter are not reputable sources. I don't care what everybody says. Those are not reputable sources. Go to scientists, go to professionals. They know what they're talking about. TikTok is not the place to get your info. But there's so many people that believe that. And it's working for them. I mean, we can see it already. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, who's the other one? The Oracle guy, forgetting the Amazon guy. I think I said him, Jeff Bezos. All of these rich people were all donors to Trump. They all donated at least $1 million to Trump. And then we all saw the shenanigans with Elon Musk and all of his stuff. And we've seen their pandering to Mark Zuckerberg. And they recently are promoting Barron Trump, his 19-year-old son who's still in college, as a TikTok board member. And they're planning to buy TikTok, or at least I think Oracle just acquired TikTok, one of the big companies. So they're very, very clearly trying to take over social media. I've been on Blue Sky since December of this past year. The White House just showed up on Blue Sky. The Department of War just showed up on Blue Sky and is now promoting propaganda about how it's all the liberals' fault, that if you want to blame this on anybody, then look at the Democratic leaders smearing Schumer, smearing Gavin Newsom, smearing Pritzker, smearing Adelita. They're on Blue Sky, which is meant for highly democratic individuals. And it just kills me to see this, because I'm like, they are really trying so hard. They're trying to infiltrate everything. And it makes me sick to know that this haven that I had is now on the place. They're now in the haven that I escaped to, because I left Instagram and Threads because of them, because Mark Zuckerberg openly supported Trump, and now they are on there. And luckily they don't have very many followers yet, and most people that are on there are harassing them, which I quite enjoy. But it's still like, most of the comments on there are just like people repeating release the Epstein files, or are just like calling them out on their BS. But this is just another example of how they're really trying to take over everything. Recently, JD Vance posted a public formal announcement, like in front of the news and everything, with all the microphones and stuff. He announced that he's going, I've been so busy with my VP duties that I haven't gotten a chance to be on social media, but I'm going to go back on TikTok where I belong and reach you guys where you're at. And we're going to start posting again because we need to be communicating with you and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, the fact that our government is considering TikTok posting as a priority is like facepalm sickening. What is happening right now? The fact that this is like, not only is the fact that this is happening wild. I mean, I've always studied political collapse because I've always found it interesting, and I always wondered when it was going to happen, because we all know like things are on a cycle, and generally civilization or countries usually only last like 250 years or so, and we are at 251 years. So we are, I knew this was coming, but I did not in any way anticipate how quickly this was going to fall apart. I thought that it would be like over the course of the thing, and then we'd get to the point where we'd be like, oh no, we hate this, and at least we're coming up to a new election and pick somebody else, and they'd like unraveled stuff. But I did not anticipate that it would only take 9 months to completely destroy all of our relationships with all of the countries, even Canada and Mexico. They're threatening to bomb California in a show of force. They're deporting everybody from normal American citizens to people that are legally here in the country, to politicians, to doctors and surgeons that refuse to turn in their patients, to people that are peacefully protesting. It's wild. And this goes to show how desperate they are to get control of everything. They just handed over a huge clump of land to, I forgot which company it was, but it's a company that's responsible for absorbing a bunch of land. And when you do that, you get to control the prices. And when you control the price of land, it raises the price of land other places. And the reason why we have a problem with housing is because they refuse to build housing for people. And the housing that they do build for people is complete garbage. So this is all a cohesive plan to get us in every direction, where we live, what we're able to eat. They're buying up our farms. They're turning open land into polluting the AI big warehouses and stuff like that. Though AI warehouses pollute in a day more than the world pollutes in a couple days. So we are, and they've also been unraveling all of our environmental regulations. So they're also ruining our water system. They're ruining our air quality. In, I think it was June, from Illinois to Ohio and out to the East Coast, they had a warning to people where they told them, if you are old, if you have health problems, if you have young children, do not go outside because you could actually die. If you have asthma, if you have like emphysema or a lung issue, you could actually die from how bad the pollution was, because it could trigger like anaphylactic type symptoms. It could trigger people's airways to close. It could trigger heart attacks or heart problems. And this is all stuff that is going to increase as more and more wealthy individuals contribute to the demise of this democracy. So this is, to answer the question simply, yes, this is all a cohesive effort that has been in the making for quite a while.
Passport bros, where you at? I need some recommendations. What's a nice little spot for me to go and settle? Help me out. I know you got the connections and hookups. Y'all been to and fro for some time now. I know you know some people. Hook a brother up. Because at this particular moment, I'm already pre-packed. Nah, real talk, bro. Yeah. Yeah. I, there's places that are nowhere is ever 1000% safe, but there are places that are less likely to be as bad as where we are, unless you want to live under a rock. I don't know. There's a number of people who have been speaking on this, and I'm sure the comment sections in all of those spaces have had their own opinions on it. I hope for a better outcome. I hope that this brings people closer together instead of divided, like Rain said. I knew when Trump became president again that it was going to get nasty. Go back to January. I said it. He's going to, everybody who was so pressed for him to be the president, holler at me in a couple of months. Tell me if you still feel the same way. Because I already knew he was going to be petty. He definitely was going to be on some bull. Exquisite.
It explains Patrick Starr. Like, that's why he's living under a rock.
Yo. Prayers going up for this country and for the people. I hope this brings us to a place where we actually start to do something about this stuff. Or we're just going to keep ignoring it. I think there are people who are still, there's a large number of people who are just going to continue to ignore it. But there's going to be some people who actually say, all right, we got to go ahead and start putting foot to turf.
I think the ones that annoy me the most are the ones that are aware of what's happening, but so they don't stress themselves out. They choose not to pay attention. I don't want to read about that. I just don't watch the news. I just don't want to think about that. Those are the ones that frustrate me the most, because you know what's happening and you're choosing to pretend that it's not existing because it's stressful for you. Well, how stressful is it going to be when you're not going to be able to go outside because you're going to get shot if you leave your house, because then you're seeing it. Oh, well, you're Antifa. Are you going out on the street? Oh, you're probably a protester. Or you don't have food, or you don't have health care, or you don't have a house, and now you're going to be assassinated because, or you're going to be murdered because you are, you're homeless, and can't have that. We even had our Pope, who everyone thought, he's kind of liberal, like that's a good thing. He just said today that, I'm paraphrasing, it's poor people's fault for being poor because they don't try.
That Hollywood lifestyle, man. Everybody want to walk across that red carpet. It's not for everyone. This is a lot of spiritual war happening, and is manifesting itself through the men and women I didn't vote for none of these motherfuckers. I didn't check off on none of them. I don't even know none of these people. I mean, all right, JD Vance and a couple of them, but the rest of them folks that be sitting in them seats up, I don't know who the hell none of them people is. Like, how the hell did y'all get here? Like, shit is weird, man. But I mean, that's my fault too. And just my final thought, just to add on what you said, y'all acting like you don't know what's going on, or you pretending like you don't see it, it's not going to stop it from happening. It's no different than all the information in the world being at your disposal when you don't want to read. That doesn't mean it wasn't there. I don't trust not a single one. Not a single one. Shout out to everybody, man. Chef, Rain, the young lady who pulled up and complimented the poem. I gotta scroll back up. Shout out to her.
Her name was Letitia. Yeah, Letitia Porter.
Shout out to Miss Porter and everybody, man, who tapped in tonight. The exchanges, the back and forth, I love it. I feed off of it. It makes,
it's what we need.
Yeah, definitely. It makes what we discuss up here more legitimate. We're not nuts or crazy. We're not the only ones that feel this type of way about what's happening. There's other people that are actually concerned. It was something I was gonna say. I lost it. If there's anything that you want to add before we close out, I give you the mic. Oh, check out that petition too, by the way, if you haven't.
And if you're in California, vote for Prop 50. Vote yes on Prop 50. That will prevent them from gerrymandering and affecting the California breakdown. If you're in California, obviously. But my final thoughts are: I'm going to read two poems. One's short, one's a little bit longer. The first one that I'm going to read, I wrote the morning that I found out that he was the winner. There's a tiny bit of explicitity in there, so just bear with me. So this is called Political Distress. I wrote this the very morning that I woke up and saw that it was red. It was a red check, red winner. How the fuck does one live normal anymore? How do you look your son, your daughter, your mother, your grandmother in the eye, knowing the ones in red love kitchens and fresh bread, demanding how do you do when the etiquette of life is null, decency is now void, a felon for a president, a chimp with a grenade. I always love that one. The next one that I have is called VEI 8. I wrote this, it was shortly after the election. I don't remember exactly when, but I know it was around the time that I was noticing all of the stuff falling apart. So this is VEI 8 for a little context. VEI 8 is the largest category of volcanic eruption. And a VEI 8 eruption can basically change the climate completely. It causes like decades, possibly centuries long impacts on the earth. So I thought it would be appropriate. Flat on my face like a screaming tea kettle, feeling sour heat emanate from this browbeaten sequel, like an overstuffed pillow or jars choked on jam, seams holding my soundness of mind bow in the wake of an insolent kind. Writhing malice, unruly chagrin, I yank at the iron of these old western bars. Watching my keeper, I suffer confined, blinking to cover tetchy reflections and eyes. Down on one knee, I preached to the space, frantically craving that my blisters of rage just boil away in the dying blue light. If only I release my sanctity to air, or say the right words in a flawless array, then these shameful quivers of angst and denial could maybe abate even just for a while. Steaming off solace like the depths of spiked drinks, yet like unfinished attics and carousel summers, this rage just repeats with every red letter. Where do I insert my coin into the slot, to crack my ribs open and let it all out, to tear open hearts like an overnight gift, or break through the hatred that festers unmarked? Watching the screens loudly designate fear, I desperately scramble to get out of my head, while vexed, pockmarked, and cratered in bed. We used to want all colors to matter, yet the black flags that fly now only aim to decry, donning some irony to cover their faces with gasoline language and matches in place. They teach of a gospel using distorted bent crosses, seeking square grins on the wicked men's faces. Nobody dares to poke the bear in its slumber, yet here we lay, biting our knuckles through a tyrannic cliff tumble. I'm breathing, I'm seething, my innards are calling, my hands can't forestall it, in biologic rejection of my national home. Our civility's Plinian moment has come on so fast, like ill-fated Amero, Myron, Pompeii. Burning concrete builds on our shoulders, blocking our hearths while stealing our faith, trapping our souls into hollow blank casts that resemble the humans that we used to be. Now is our moment to erupt to stay free. I wrote that about the feeling of wanting to write about it and just like shake people with my writing, be like, what are you doing? Why aren't you paying attention? So that was my call to people to start paying attention and do something about what's happening right now.
Love that piece. I love the other one too. That was funny. That was
Shit with
funny.
a grenade.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey man, always a good time to chop it up. You know what I'm saying? I hope y'all enjoyed tonight's episode. Tomorrow we going in a completely different direction. I got something to say. I got somebody that I need to address, and tap in. That's all I'm gonna say. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. You know where I'm at. Matter of fact, real quick, let me do this. At the top of the screen right there is Sydney's Blue Sky. If you want to get in contact with her, all you got to do is use your scanner. Boom, bada bing. And yeah, that'll take you there.
I wanted to thank all of you guys for the comments. I really appreciated the feedback, especially Raining and Chef. It's always enjoyable to see people engaging in the podcast. And also for any viewers, if you want to know what's coming, read George Orwell. 1984 has a lot of hints at what's coming. Also, Parable of the Sower, Handmaid's Tale. There's so many books that share what we're going through right now and what we can expect for the future. And don't let them ban these books. Read them, know them, and understand what they're doing, because they'll show you a lot about what's happening behind the scenes. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you being here.
Before y'all go, you already know the energy do me a solid.
What's the goddamn button?
You feel me? It'll only take a second, you know? Y'all enjoy the rest of your night. We up out of here. Peace.
If I'm a one-hit wonder, at least I got one, huh? At least I got something, really ain't me. The beat bumping, one song could change lives. Let's see something, one joke could save lives. We gon' keep coming, keep functioning, something out of nothing. Ball-wise, I'm top 300, get your favorite artist. I'll chop it up with mutton if they haters. Your ghost could be bludgeon if they for real. We getting money, so try BS minus Negroes, button everything authentic. Stupid shit I did it, punishing myself like my mom prison. No questions, no tea, not lifting. One time for tea, being broke wasn't living. One